Welcome to the Seven Figure Leaders podcast. This podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. And there you'll find the link to apply. Welcome. And today we've got Roy Castleman, founder of All the Power. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
So before we press live, we'll press record, we were talking about the different things that you're involved in. So perhaps give an overview of your background, what you've been up to in your career and where you are today and what you're focusing on.
I got to the UK in 1997 and didn't really know what I was doing. I came over on a 2-year holiday work visa and then decided to get into IT. I literally photocopied my brother's CV, sent it out to a bunch of agencies, and then learned IT on the job in a very kind of calling my brother from the toilet kind of way to actually figure it out. I worked for the first IT company for 7 years until 2002. 7 years, 5 years until 2002. And after that, I started my first IT company. I then started another IT company in 2009, and I acquired the very first IT company that I worked for in 2017. And that whole journey has taught me so much about business, about what not to do. And in 2018, I actually bought an adventure center. So this is indoor surfing, indoor skydiving, and a whole range of other things. And I realized I didn't actually know what I was doing. So during that process, I learned EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And that really helped me figure out how to structure and understand businesses. I then went through a pretty heavy mental kind of challenge during COVID, running this multi-million-pound adventure center and not being able to get out of it. And it took me to the edge of suicide, it really did. And during that process, I learned the Wim Hof method. And the Wim Hof method is cold exposure and breath work. And I realized, how powerful your mind is. And so that then became another pillar that I learned. And after that, AI came along and just changed everything. So now I help people with all those things. I help them understand how they can use AI, but I also help them understand how important it is to have good mental and physical energy. Otherwise, you can't get profit. It's just simple, right? And if business owners could put themselves first, and actually get their energy right, then they'd be able to make much more profit than they think they can. Right. And then, what are the tools that we need to build, grow, and scale a successful company? And a successful company is one where you can work on it 5 hours a week, and then go and do something else, and which is what I do. I currently run my IT companies 5 hours a week. And other than that, I'm building and growing All the Power now to help business owners get to that point.
Okay. And is it the same IT company that you've been running since 2007? Yep.
There's 3 of them at the moment, yeah.
Okay. And so there are a few things that we can go into. One, Wim Hof, one is AI, and then the other one is the operating strategy that you're using with businesses. So before we do that, perhaps you could run us through a bit about some of those big challenges that you faced when the business became really hard to run and how you actually got through those periods.
Well, in 2017, I was running 2 IT companies and doing it the way that so many business owners do. Right, I was working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. My office is in London. I ended up sleeping under the desk many times with a roll of bubble wrap around me, just so that I could go out with a client in the evening and then get up in the morning and get the projects completed. And my previous business owner, the owner that I used to work for first in IT Computers in the City, came to me and said, I'm going to sell you the company. Because I love what you've done, and and he gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. But I just couldn't see how can I go from 14 hours a day with 2 companies, to not have 21 hours a day with 3 companies. And one of my colleagues, Alex DL, he said, "Oh, my brother's been using He read this book called Faction. He's been using EOS. So we literally paid 100 grand to have an EOS coach come in and teach us, the EOS system. And it was eye-opening in so many different ways. It really was. And this is what the big corporates would do. If you got McKinsey in to come coach you, they'd give you an operating system along these lines. And as business owners, we have this problem, right? We start, we have 50 things to do. We wear all the hats initially, and then we grow. We get a couple of staff in, and those staff that we get in, we're not as clear as we could be. We're not as structured as we could be because we do the things that we like doing, and those things we don't like doing, they kind of fall by the wayside a bit. And the business operating system, so BOS, is that I'm working on now, it actually gives you the tools to know what it is you need to do. Excuse me. So working on your business, we don't spend time working on the business, and we should be spending 20% of our time working on the business. And I liken it to, you have kids, right? Do you have kids, Tom?
Not yet. No.
Yeah. Well, when you do, you'll get the pain. And when you have a kid, initially, you go through, the birthing part of it, where it's all kind of a challenge and it's all new. And then they get to the terrible twos, and they're just a little SH1T. You go through that, and they grow up and they learn and they structure, and eventually they get to a point, you hope, where they're able to step out into the world on their own. And kind of business owners, so many business owners get stuck in the teenage years. They have to be there, to manage the kid all the time. Otherwise, the kid doesn't do what it needs to do. And the business operating system lets you step out of that. It lets you kind of understand the importance of the various things that are holding you back, and lets you grow and scale your company.
Yeah. So, working on the business, that's something that gets thrown around, that term, quite a lot. What does that mean to you versus working in the business?
Working in the business is very much, doing the job, right? I came in, I was an engineer. So I learned how to do Cisco networking and Microsoft, and I put the projects together. And I was stuck doing that all the time. So I was trading my time, for that money. And because I was stuck doing that, I wasn't able to grow. And working on the business is recognizing what the roles and responsibilities are, that grow your business and allow your business to go forward. With you not being there, can you take out 150 grand a year from the business? And will the business survive? If you were to go and take a holiday, today, and just literally go off for 2 weeks and not speak to anyone, would everything fall down around your feet? And if the answer is yes, then you're in business. So I just got back from 10 days in Egypt. I got there and realized there was no signal, and everything carries on. Everything runs, right? And that's just so empowering to be in that position.
Yeah. Something I wanted to touch on that you mentioned briefly, Wim Hof.
Yep.
I've done my fair share of cold plunges, and trying to maintain it through the winter is sometimes a bit of a challenge.
Yep.
But perhaps you could share a bit about your experience with that, how you got into it, and what you feel are the benefits are, and where you're at with it now, because it's a progression, isn't it, in terms of the time spent actually in the cold water.
It is, and it is, and it isn't. And Wim Hof is really driven towards cold water. I first got into it because during 2020, I had an injury on my shoulder in 2015. And during 2020, I just ignored it. I'd taken ibuprofen, and I didn't have time for the 4.5-month recovery, of replacing my AC joint. And in 2020, I lost the use of my right arm. So at the point where it was all going wrong, I wasn't doing the work that I normally did. I wasn't skydiving. I wasn't doing what I could do, by skydive. And I got to a point of, like, I can't use my arm. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to have the operation. So what's the quickest possible way that I can recover? And I've got a book called Tools for Titans. Great book. And part of chapter 4 of that is, the Wim Hof method. So I looked at that. 21st of January, 21, I decided to do the Wim Hof method. I got into it. I booked my operation for the 17th of March. And the whole goal was physically I was going to get stronger. And I was going to come out of the operation and not spend 4.5 months. And that was great. I had the operation, came out of the operation. It took me 7 weeks to be flying in the tunnel again, 8 weeks to be skydiving again. And the physiotherapist was, "What are you doing?" And from that point, I knew that I had something there. But then I got to a point where the world was falling down around me. Yeah, I was loaning money from all over the place. I was just trying to keep this adventure center surviving. And this then got to a point of, getting up one morning, climbing up to the top of the 130-foot tower we had and getting, yeah,
Wow.
and then getting ready to jump off because I had enough. I was done. And
The stress that got you to that point, or what was it that
it was the stress. I think as a business owner, I've always had ultimate belief that I can fix everything. Right. And I got to the point where I just couldn't fix this. Yeah, I ended up in hospital. I had diverticulitis. I ended up in hospital, with a burst colon. I came out of that and ended up, the staff saying you got 50 grand for salaries you need to come up tomorrow. And I was just like, I couldn't do it. I was just totally locked in to my own world.
so it was a cash flow problem that you felt you couldn't get over?
It wasn't even cash flow. It was there was no money from the government. There was we couldn't have customers in. It was COVID, right? And there was just no way for me to get out of it. And the solution to me was to jump off the tower.
Yeah.
And when I was up there, I actually did some breath work. I did 3 rounds of breath work, and that was just enough to get me off, right? And just enough to take the next stage. And the next stage was letting go. Yeah, it was literally right. I can't fix this. Let's go down to bankrupt. Let's go to nothing. I called my mom up and I said, listen, can I come and live in your room? Because I don't think I'm going to have anything anymore. And this would have taken out my IT companies. It would have taken out everything. I came down from that and I actually thought I'm going to teach this because this is important.
Yeah.
So I went and did the Wim Hof training course.
So did the companies go under?
The one company went under, the other company survived. Because once you've accepted the worst case scenario, then you can spend your energy actually fixing day to day the other things, right?
Yeah.
But when you don't accept the worst case scenario, you're literally sitting there with this. You've only got so much energy to spend in a day, and when you're spending 80% of it worrying, you can't do anything.
You're fighting it. You're fighting that.
Yeah, and now the IT companies have recovered from all loans and are doing well. And I started All the Power, which is around taking people through this journey. With the advent of AI and where that's going, it's just such an amazing time now. Scary.
Yeah. So you're just on Wim Hof. So what's your daily routine now? So you've got one of those little plunges in your garden, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my daily routine is I get up normally 4:30, 5 o'clock. I do 4 to 5 rounds of breath work. I then got into meditation. So I've been
How long is your breath work? 45 minutes.
no, it's 4 rounds, 4 or 5 rounds. So it's about 20 minutes.
So anyway, is that the deep in and out thing?
Yeah, that's it.
You lie on the floor and 30 breaths in and out, and then
30 breaths in and out. Then you hold your breath for a minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And you come out of that, and that's just my way of entirely clearing away the mental stress. Yeah, if I don't do it, I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I then do meditation. I do half an hour meditation, Joe Dispenza meditation, which is just amazing.
Is that pre-recorded that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been looking at Joe Dispenza actually.
Yeah.
Is that one that you paid for, or is that like free on YouTube or something?
It's one that I paid for. I've actually, when I came out of my level 2 instructor's course for Wim Hof, somebody said, listen to Becoming Supernatural. And I put the book on, the audio book on. I was driving my camper van around Europe, and I literally listened to it for 14 hours. At the end of that, I booked my first Joe Dispenza event. Since then, I've done 4 events with him, and I'm doing another one in February. 1st of February, I'm going to another one.
I'm looking at them as well. I haven't been to one yet. Which one in February? Where was that?
Cancun.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I was looking at that one myself.
Come and join.
So you obviously recommend them.
And then I go downstairs. I do some PT. I get in my sauna for 10 minutes, and then I jump in the ice bath. And that's my morning routine.
How long did you do in the ice bath?
3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, the thing with the ice bath is I've done 35 minutes.
At what temperature?
1.
Okay. Yeah, right.
But the first 3 to 5 minutes is the part that does the most benefit. After that, it just becomes a mental game. You're for sure. Yeah, I can go longer if I want to. But the reality is, what's the minimum effective dose? to get me to have the most effective day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the clients that I work with, I just do the breath work, right? Yeah. And the breath work is so powerful. It really is. I actually teach the breath work to high performance business owners at Cranfield University. I'm there every 6 months doing a course for them. And there's so much that we can do, for ourselves.
Yeah.
But we need to give ourselves the time and the understanding of how powerful it can be.
Yeah. And so what does that give you in terms of peace, clarity, better decisions throughout the day?
I'm going to go back to previous life where I used to literally sleep an hour to an hour and a half every day. That was all I slept.
Wow.
For 15 years, I slept an hour and a half a day. Yeah, and my decision making capability wasn't great. I was getting stuff done, but I wasn't getting stuff done nearly as well as I could. When I finish my routine now, I end up in a place that I can focus purely on today. I can use AI to make that thought process much more clear. I have more energy. I go to sleep at 9:30 at night, so I go to sleep early. I get up at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. Yeah, I have good sleep now, right? Where I didn't before. I'm a 7 out of 10 sleep instead of a 2 out of 10 sleep. And it literally gives me so much more power every day to do what I need to do. You know,
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. So then moving forward, you now combine that work, which is kind of like health, well-being, with the EOS framework,
yeah.
uh, and AI, which is obviously taking off to support the clients that you work with. And who are the clients that you work with, and what are they typically going through in order to realize that they need your support?
Typically, business owners, my ideal customer profile is a chap called Mark. He's 45 to 50 years old. He loves his business. He loves what he's doing, but he's got into a situation where he doesn't have any time to do anything. He's in the business all the time. His family relationships have fallen down by the wayside because he just doesn't have the time. And so first we fix that time problem. Right, let's give you some time back. We can use AI to do that. Then I won't work with people unless they work on themselves. Unless they're prepared to actually understand how important their own mental health and physical health is. So we let them go through that. And only after that, after we've got that fundamental structure right, then we actually spend 2 weeks just fixing their main problems. We go through that and introduce the business operating system. I teach Boss Up. It is now I'm a Boss Up coach, which is part of the 90 operating system. So not 90 is the biggest SaaS platform which EOS runs on, and this then gives me the opportunity to say to them, right, okay, let's just think about where you are. And a typical client.
So just to understand, so how does BOSOP feed into 90? Is yeah, what's the relationship there?
So Boss Up, that's BOS, the business operating system. This is the coaching arm of 90. Okay, so Mark Abbott owns 90, who have, I don't know, 150,000 clients worldwide. And Boss Up is now the coaching arm, which teaches people how to grow and scale the companies using the operating system. And the joy of Boss Up is I can actually bring my own other elements in. I can bring the AI into it, and I can bring the wellness into it. And that structure allows me, to understand what people actually need. Having listened to them and understood them. You might already have a really good morning routine. Your health might be great. So but then you just don't have the time. So how do you make sure you get the right people in place? How do you make sure your meetings are done correctly? How do you make sure all of these things around the Boss Up program? There's nine core competencies that we look at in this program.
So with BOSOP, you're implementing your framework using 90. So is that right? So in 90, as part of like what you track, you would be tracking your health KPIs as well as the business KPIs.
Yeah. So I'm using the tools of 90, which is it's a great platform. Many millions of pounds spent on it. I'm using the tools of 90. And 90, if we think about the business operating system as a system to operate your business, simple. This is the working on the business stuff that we don't do. What's your vision? What are your goals? What are your rocks? We talk about rocks, and rocks being those 90-day projects that you've got. How do you timeline them so that the things that you're working on are actually taking you towards your goals? right? Yeah, how do you structure things so that in 2 years' time, if you're there or if you're not there, yeah, everything's working.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And so, is there a typical size business that that you'd like to work with?
Normally between 3 and 5 million turnover, yeah, is useful. That being said, I have quite a few clients that are smaller than that, and they can just see. One of my clients is sub a million, and he's literally, now doing after 2.5 months, he's doing his biggest months. Yeah, every day he gets up, he's happy. He does his breath work. Yeah, he's now planning and opening up 4 or 5 new branches. When I met him, yeah, he was. I just don't. I'm going to sell everything. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's just giving that love of life back again.
Yeah.
And that's so important. Business owners are they're awesome. We go out in the world and we fix problems for the world. Yeah, and then we end up not looking after ourselves. Yeah, and not being able to do that with them.
Yeah.
So if we can get that back again, if we can go in, and just live the life you love. I travel the world. I've seen 30 countries in the last 2.5 years. Right. And I've been free diving under the ice in Finland, between the continental plates in Iceland, in the cenotes in Mexico. And life should be for living. Life should be for enjoying as much as you can. But also, understanding your passions and your priorities so that you can make the difference that you want to make.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, you shared a lot today. That's been brilliant. So, for anyone who is interested in having a chat with you, we will make it very easy for them to get in touch with you. So, we'll put a link to your website. So, Roy Castleman, allthepower.co.uk for anyone who's listening who can't see. Yeah, thank you very much. I think you've been a great guest, and there's a lot that a lot of people can learn by learning a bit more about what you do. So, thank you, Roy.
Thanks very much, Tom.
Cheers. Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. On that page, you'll find the link to apply.